Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a movie that I genuinely loved. Now going into the film, the aspect that I expected to appreciate the most about it would be the animation style itself. And don't get me wrong, the animation style is pretty fantastic. It's very stylized and it does some interesting things during the fight scenes with its frame rate and speed line that it utilizes throughout. And it has some truly vivid backgrounds and color to accompany it. It all looks gorgeous from a technical standpoint, but by far the aspect that I really loved about this movie was the writing itself. Now the writing of this movie is very cliched, but what really elevates it to such a degree is that it feels incredibly genuine. For example, there's a comic relief character in this movie, and rather than just him being a pointless side character that they feel they have to include, he actually has a role in the story and feels like he deserves to be there. And not only does he feel like he has an actual purpose within the story, but he also manages to never really be annoying and actually pretty funny throughout. I always felt as if I cared about the three main characters and their arcs that they go on, and the emotional beats during the story that you would expect to see there never really feel forced or manipulative, but rather genuine. And it always felt like a genuine progression of the story. And there's one more aspect about this film that I really loved. It's the fact that the film actually feels like it has a sense of consequence at the end. It doesn't just cop out and reverse the consequences and feels like it never mattered in the first place. And the characters do learn something at the end. And I mention this because in a lot of other kids' movies, it will tease the idea of having a consequence at the end, but then it will just cop out for the sake of being a safe kids movie. But thankfully they never did that in this one. Anyway, I absolutely love this movie and I recommend it to absolutely everyone. And this one gets a very solid 9 out of 10. So I just watched Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs. Now this is my second Wes Anderson film, with the first one being Moonrise Kingdom, which I highly recommend to people. I absolutely love that movie and I gave it a 9 out of 10. Now Isle of Dogs is a good movie, but I don't love it as much. Now the animation style is obviously incredible. There's so many incredibly well-timed sequences throughout this film. It's incredibly ambitious on a technical level. There are so many well-coordinated backgrounds that go on it during certain scenes. And of course, this being a Wes Anderson movie, it does have its own certain sense of style and humor to go along with it. And the humor does work pretty well for the film. And it does have a lot of editing techniques with the camera cutting back and forth and being timed in a sequence. It really brings the humor to life. Now during the film in certain scenes they did play some interesting songs that I felt were a unique choice to go along with it, and they worked pretty well and had an effect on me. Now about the hour mark into this film I started getting more emotionally invested into it with the characters and narrative going on. For the first hour I wasn't bored, but I was kind of just more appreciative of the animation itself. I thought all the voice acting was very well done, and I think this one deserves a 7 out of 10. Alright, the next movie I want to talk about in this video is One Cut of the Dead. Now this is a very interesting movie. Now this movie is certainly a very interesting ride, and it's also a very great film that I want people to see. Now the problem with talking about this movie is that I find it very difficult to give certain details away. This movie is really just its own experience that has to be witnessed firsthand for you to truly appreciate it. But what I will say about this movie is this: it is very clever and unique with its concept, as well as its presentation. Thinking about this movie, I can't really imagine any other movie that I've seen that's like it, and I can probably guarantee that for all of you watching this. The film is also incredibly funny, and the last 30 minutes of this movie is truly the peak of the film. I also think this is honestly one of the most original movies I've ever seen. In short, it's very good and very funny. You're just gonna have to trust me on this one. Go see it for yourself, don't look up anything about it, and this one gets a 7 out of 10.